Futurama Issue 9. It starts with Bender being happy because he's being washed by women robots, and it's revealed that there's a force field wax coating. What a huge coincidence that they talk to a guy who talks and resembles the one from an earlier story that Fry ordered sea monkeys from. It's like he has a lot of twin brothers or keeps having to get new jobs, and something annoying about the show too. Leela says she wants to get a perm and learn origami inside the Surface Smart while they'd wait for the ship to be washed. It makes her feel more real that she wants to learn a new hobby. Leela's getting her hair done with a machine and wants gossip from Fry because she's got no one else to talk to. And then Fry panics because Nephew's Day is tomorrow. He's holding a card people would just find insulting, and feels guilty that he hasn't gotten Farnsworth a gift yet. So now he's got morals, even though Farnsworth doesn't deserve a gift. Leela's just buying a gift here, and insists her hair is permed when it looks almost the same. Fry really wants to give him a gift that's good enough for him because he's the only family he's got left. A homeless veteran overhears his problem and offers them handmade accessories. He shows them a charm designed to show the special bonds between two people. Fry wonders why they're glowing because it seems dangerous. Then why does he think this is worth buying? He wonders why he has a cash register, and he says he works for the store. And they move more product when playing the sympathy card. Bender wants the extra service and gets scared by his ex-date Crushinator. Why would he date her? How could he have a kid with her by accident? They're not the same in proportions. Oh right, I guess he plugged into her and that's how he has his fun. So size doesn't matter for robots. Crushinator's terrible at naming people. He freaks out wanting to get out of here with a ship, and magically knows to compliment Leela's identical hair sew. This running gag got old immediately. She's supposed to be smart. I guess he knew she was getting a perm ahead of time. Surprisingly, Farnsworth appreciates his holographic Nixon card, and says it's thoughtful even though it took no effort to buy. He also references that he already made a clone son. Farnsworth's told there's more where that came from, and he wants to get a Swiss Army pocket death ray. He's confused at getting a kryptonite necklace. Bender makes a sarcastic quip, as they wonder how Superman as a franchise is still well known. And as Fry says some heartwarming dialogue that Farnsworth doesn't deserve, Farnsworth for once shows some common sense, saying that he should test the glowing rocks before wearing them because he doesn't know where they came from. So he cares what happens, but only when his own life is at risk. If he was really smart, he would have an Operation Phoenix like Rick or most of the robots. Fry says he's had his necklace on all day and he feels fine. It was obvious immediately that buying the necklace would backfire because jewelry being magical is such a common thing in the media. Farnsworth promises he'll wear it when Fry's around. Since when is he so nice to him on purpose? It makes the fact that Fry's attached to him at all make sense when he has moments like this sometimes. But it feels out of character. Fry hugs him, and we see the two of them asleep, and since there's a panel from someone's point of view without showing the head, it's immediately obvious without even reading the dialogue yet that Farnsworth switched bodies with Fry. He's happy about the advantages of it at first. He wonders if he caught a cold because his voice sounds different, which is much better than treating us like idiots by having the voices are mental trope. And is smart enough to be confused because he doesn't feel sick, and he wonders what Bender's doing at work so early, when he should know he's not at work. Bender gets suspicious because of his silly big vocabulary use. And Farnsworth sees his reflection in Bender because Bender was washed recently, so he freaks out and asks why he looks like Fry. Of course it's the necklace's fault. Impressively, he ends up smiling because he's Fry, because he's smart enough to realize that there's advantages to having his life instead. I giggled at Bender saying, "Oh, glorious day." Now if you're done stating the obvious, because it caught me off guard since he didn't insult him for stating the obvious the first time. Farnsworth does acrobatics to celebrate, and I know Fry's got a reputation as an idiot, but still. You'd think Bender would figure out what happened based on his dialogue and the fact that he just got a glowing necklace. Farnsworth's gonna have some fun at Fry's expense, instead of just telling everyone the truth. And I have to assume it's because he hates how stupid Fry is. At least it's realistic that he's not going to be portrayed as a good relative the whole story. It turns out Fry's being taken to the hospital for a brain scan because he told everyone he's Fry and they think he went nuts. Logically, the hospital should reveal that he's got Fry's brain. If they just switched consciousnesses, like souls, you'd think them being in the other one's body would change their personality regardless because the brain's what makes you who you are with its chemicals and electricity. So they would change. If Farnsworth actually is senile, Fry would become senile. Leela says they need to go with the professor. All of them. At least she apologizes to Bender for forcing him to go to the hospital pointlessly. She plans on calling Fry later to fill him in. Farnsworth's annoyed at having all of this energy and nothing to do with it. Who says he can't work on inventing with that energy? Instead he decides to sit around and act like Fry in comfort. And I get to see Fry in a lab coat for once. He says Fry usually annoys people and plans on napping. Then he sees his rival scientist on the cover of a comedy. Somehow the guy can construct a joke through physics. Farnsworth is honest about who he is when he shows up at his door, and we see him planning on beating Wernstrom up. It makes sense because Wernstrom said that Farnsworth's feeling the need to be reminded of his inferiority, so he's a suck-up jerk who's had it coming for a while. Then why does it cut away instead of letting us see him get hit even once? Instead of letting us have any fun, it'll just keep being a drama where Fry really suffers because he switched bodies. So the so-called doctor thinks Farnsworth went sane instead of seeing Fry's brain in a brain scan, and they want to test his blood. What good is that gonna do? Fry tries to prove his identity, but just causes them all to run away because they don't want to reveal all of their secrets to each other. Like the fact that Hermes lists Fry on his tax return as his adopted child to get a bigger write-off, rather than being a stickler to the rules. Won't the government easily be able to find out that he's not his adopted child? Somehow Amy secretly wants to drop out of university she never goes to, and go to clown college. I guess they assume that the reason he knows all of this is that he told Farnsworth about it. Why did we have to see this frustrating scene? We see Farnsworth ordering more alcohol at the bar. We usually don't see him drinking. He says he hasn't had this much fun controlling his bladder since he had his real one replaced. That makes me wonder why he has a hard time controlling it in his real body, because surely you would have it replaced with an artificial one that'd never get worse over time because it's the future, and he can invent anything. A female scientist wants to invite him to her apartment because he was talking about smart stuff to a guy who wouldn't understand it, probably just to feel smarter than him. Naturally, he agrees to be with her because it's been forever since he's been with a younger woman and he'll never get this chance ever again. Or he could just upload his mind to a younger clone of himself. Apparently, he never thought to do that. You'd think that Fry showing up wearing a lab coat would immediately make Leela and Bender catch on. A so-called smart person isn't even trying to hide what happened. Leela's at least smart enough to ask if he's feeling alright. And Farnsworth says that he usually plans on taking over the world with 40-foot alligators. Why didn't he do that already if he wants to? If he doesn't try to take over the world because it upset the main characters, why is he even bothering to think up plans? Leela's suspicious, but whatever, because she still doesn't figure out what happened, somehow. Sure, they might not believe in magic, but they've seen plenty of Stranger Things, so there's no reason for them to be skeptical. A week later, she thanks Scruffy for filling in on Fry delivering the package. She compliments him on cleaning the toilet bowls on the ship for the first time. And Farnsworth couldn't come in for work because he has a photo shoot with Science Illustrated magazine. I thought the story was gonna have Farnsworth get arrested for beating up an old man. At least I get to see more of the entertaining plot where he's having fun in his body, because Wernstrom is too scared to tell people what happened. Leela finally figures out what happened because Farnsworth invented a winning football team. How are they all that slow that this took a week to figure out? They want to have a lobotomy be illegal and a personality lobe removal be illegal in the future. And I don't think a personality lobe exists. So they need to go find Farnsworth to save Farnsworth's body. Farnsworth dances in a club, and for some reason Wernstrom goes there of all places, without looking hurt at all. Farnsworth goes into the bathroom and realizes that he can't stay this way forever, and decides to have just one last night like this. It seems out of character that he cares. But then the lights turn out and he ends up beaten up in the dark and kidnapped by grad students for Wernstrom. I can't take this seriously because Wernstrom obviously shouldn't still be alive, or at least able to walk. They weren't going to have consequences to him bothering him because he doesn't have a single bruise, and he didn't call the police. So why is it pretending that actions have consequences this way? Bender says he has a Deus Ex Machina Fryjack in his chest now, when it was empty before. And Farnsworth is told he could only beat Wernstrom in a battle of the wits. Why did he think he could be beaten by his dumbest professor? Farnsworth is stunned to learn that his intelligence really was respected after all. Then the crew finds Farnsworth because Bender put a satellite trace on the missing computer chip in Fry a while ago and followed it here. It'd be less convoluted to just explain that Farnsworth had a tracking device in every one of the crewmates, because why wouldn't he? Farnsworth explains that he thinks he's cool enough to be seen in public in slippers, and that's why he wears them. Wernstrom's told that his grad students don't know Kung Fu. They thought they could fake it if it was 5 against 1. So they run away. Amusingly, after saying nobody's smarter than him, Wernstrom tries to take them all on himself, saying that he was a great thumb wrestler, and knocks himself out with the dumbest weapon ever. Conveniently, all they need is a relative signature to free Farnsworth's body from the hospital. It's underwhelming that I didn't get to see them go to the hospital for even one panel to free him, and Farnsworth already has an invention that'll switch them back into their original bodies because he thought ahead. It's explained that the invention switches souls because magic, and at least Farnsworth apologizes to him for staying in his body so long, and Fry forgives him right away. Sadly, the story ends with Bender getting to take a picture to blackmail Fry because Farnsworth cast off his clothes for fun to enjoy being young. You'd think he'd learn from this and put his mind in a younger clone of himself. This fun story was about Farnsworth getting to enjoy his life a lot more because he's in Fry's body thanks to a magic necklace. I kept waiting to be told how that was possible, and I just have to assume that the maker of it is an alien witch. It's kinda nice to see how Farnsworth would be acting if he was younger, dancing at a club and even drinking at a bar like Rick and being successful with women. Of course, he's the bad guy of the story. It was terrible of him to force Fry to have to deal with being trapped in a hospital for a while because they don't believe him, even though they had a brain scan of him that would prove he's not crazy, and Farnsworth was always making it obvious that he switched bodies with Fry. The story at least has some heartwarming dialogue between the two characters, trying to establish that they do care about each other. But it's confusing because it's so rare. Usually Farnsworth just treats him like another one of the employees. And at the end, I'm just wondering how Farnsworth isn't smart enough to put his mind in a younger clone of himself, or even de-age himself outright now that he knows how great he could have it. He doesn't explain what he likes about being old, which wouldn't make any sense anyways.